Welcome to True Life Lessons. Today we follow a young girl who desperately wanted to build a rare and beautiful garden. Her heart was completely filled with an intense, burning passion to cultivate exotic flowers that nobody had ever seen before. She spent countless hours sketching out brilliant plans for her sanctuary, imagining vibrant colors blooming under the bright morning sunlight. Every single detail was perfectly mapped out in her mind, from the winding pathways to the delicate water features flowing. Overflowing with pure excitement, she could not contain her joy and decided to share this grand vision with her neighbors. She gathered her friends around, eagerly pointing at the empty plot of land where her magnificent dream would become reality. However, instead of receiving warm encouragement, she was immediately met with harsh whispers, cynical laughter, and deep, skeptical stares everywhere. The villagers quickly dismissed her ambitious ideas, telling her that the local soil was far too poor for exotic plants. They cruelly mocked her grand aspirations, claiming she lacked the necessary skills and experience to grow anything beyond common weeds. One older neighbor bluntly stated that she was completely wasting her youth on foolish fantasies that would ultimately lead nowhere. Those sharp words felt exactly like a freezing bucket of ice water poured directly over her brightly burning, passionate fire. Day by day, the relentless negativity slowly chipped away at her confidence, leaving her feeling incredibly isolated and deeply misunderstood. She found herself staring blankly at the barren dirt, heavily doubting whether her beautiful vision was actually a childish illusion. The bright spark in her eyes began to fade significantly as she seriously considered abandoning the garden project completely forever. Feeling utterly defeated by the constant criticism, she walked away from her empty plot, letting sorrow heavily weigh her spirit. Seeking some quiet solace from the loud, judgmental voices, she wandered deep into the ancient forest bordering her small village. The peaceful silence of the tall trees provided a temporary comfort, allowing her to freely shed tears of profound disappointment. While resting beneath a massive oak tree, she suddenly noticed a mysterious old woman carefully foraging for rare medicinal herbs. The wise elder approached her gently, noticing the profound sadness radiating from the young girl who clearly carried heavy burdens. With a warm and comforting smile, the old woman sat down beside her, quietly asking what had broken her spirit. Pouring her heart out, the girl explained her magical garden dream and how the cruel villagers had completely destroyed hope. The old woman listened very patiently, her deep, knowing eyes reflecting decades of profound wisdom gathered from observing human nature. Reaching into her woven basket, the elder pulled out a tiny, seemingly insignificant brown seed and placed it in hand. She looked at the girl intently and gently asked, "When you plant a seed, do you dig it up daily? Do you constantly expose it to the harsh sunlight just to prove to your neighbors that it is actually growing?" The girl shook her head, slowly realizing that a seed requires absolute darkness and quiet isolation to sprout fragile roots. "Your precious dream is exactly like this tiny seed," the wise woman explained, with a soft yet incredibly firm tone. "It desperately needs the safe sanctuary of silence to grow strong enough before facing the harsh judgment of the world. When a dream is still young and fragile, sharing it prematurely exposes it to the toxic winds of deep doubt. You must fiercely protect your vision, keeping it safely hidden away until its roots are too deep to be destroyed." The profound truth of these words resonated deeply within the young girl, instantly reigniting the dormant passion inside her soul. She thanked the wise elder profusely, tightly gripping the small seed as a powerful reminder of the valuable lesson learned. Returning to her village, the girl adopted a completely new strategy, choosing absolute silence over seeking empty validation from peers. She stopped talking about her grand plans entirely, letting everyone assume that she had finally surrendered to their pessimistic expectations. But in the hidden shadows of the early dawn, long before the village awoke, her true secret work finally began. Every single morning, she quietly prepared the tough soil, removing heavy rocks and enriching the earth with rich, natural nutrients. She carefully planted each delicate seed in total solitude, whispering gentle words of encouragement directly to the freshly turned soil. Months passed by rapidly, and she maintained her strict, silent routine, dedicating every ounce of her energy to the garden. She tirelessly carried heavy buckets of fresh water from the distant river, ensuring her fragile plants received exactly what needed. Whenever a curious neighbor casually asked what she was doing, she simply smiled politely and quickly changed the entire conversation. Through blistering summer heat and freezing winter storms, she remained fiercely dedicated, shielding her growing oasis from all prying eyes. Slowly but surely, tiny green shoots began to push through the dark earth, rewarding her immense patience and unwavering commitment. These small victories were hers alone to celebrate, completely untainted by the toxic skepticism that had previously poisoned her mind. A full year eventually passed, and the once barren plot had completely transformed into a breathtakingly gorgeous sanctuary of life. Brilliant crimson roses, exotic purple orchids, and towering emerald ferns created an absolutely spectacular display of natural beauty and magic. The sweet fragrance of blooming flowers drifted through the village, drawing deeply astonished neighbors toward her previously ignored beautiful property. They stood there in absolute shock, their mouths wide open as they stared at the magnificent paradise she secretly built. The very same people who had loudly mocked her were now completely speechless, utterly humbled by the undeniable physical proof. Their previous words of harsh doubt instantly lost all their power, entirely crushed beneath the overwhelming weight of her success. She did not gloat or demand any apologies, because the flourishing garden itself was the most powerful response she offered. Why do people often try to aggressively crush our biggest dreams when we bravely decide to share them with everyone? It is rarely because they are truly evil or genuinely want to see us fail miserably in our personal journeys. Most of the time, their heavy doubt is simply a direct reflection of their own deep internal fears and failures. They unconsciously project their personal limitations onto you, genuinely believing they are safely protecting you from experiencing severe, heartbreaking pain. Because they themselves could never imagine achieving such greatness, they naturally assume that it is entirely impossible for you too, but they are completely wrong because they do not know the immense strength and fierce resilience hiding inside your soul. They cannot see the endless late nights or the painful early mornings you are entirely willing to sacrifice for goals. This is exactly why seeking early validation from others is a highly dangerous trap that destroys countless beautiful aspirations daily. When you ask for outside approval, you are carelessly handing over the fragile destiny of your dreams to unqualified judges. Your vision does not require their permission to exist, nor does it need their applause to be considered completely valid. Instead of talking endlessly about what you will do, channel all that precious energy directly into the quiet building process. Let your calloused hands speak much louder than your mouth ever could, proving your absolute dedication through consistent physical effort. Work silently in the dark, allowing your steady progress to remain a deeply personal secret until it becomes undeniably visible. When the time is finally right, your massive success will naturally make all the necessary loud noise on its behalf. The young girl learned that true power lies in supreme patience and the quiet confidence to trust her unique journey. She realized that protecting her dream was the most crucial step in actually bringing it to a vibrant, beautiful life. We must all become fierce guardians of our deepest ambitions, shielding them from the cold winds of external toxic doubt. Treat every new idea like a fragile seed, giving it the necessary darkness and quiet time to properly establish roots. Do not dig it up prematurely just to show off to people who cannot even comprehend your ultimate grand vision. Trust the slow process, embrace the lonely silence, and keep pushing forward even when absolutely nobody else understands your purpose. Eventually, your magnificent garden will bloom so brightly that the entire world will have no choice but to stop admiringly. The doubters will silently marvel at your incredible achievements, completely forgetting that they ever tried to stop you initially, forever. Always remember to let your dedicated hands Speak long before your mouth ever attempts to explain your incredibly ambitious goals. Protect your dreams fiercely, nurture them quietly, and watch them transform into a breathtaking reality that inspires absolutely everyone around. Thank you for watching True Life Lessons. Keep planting your seeds in absolute silence, and we will see you soon.